So here's our point. So TV future is here, is happening. And for us in Italy, it's happening not because we need it. We don't have a sense of urgency. Our market, together with the Spanish market, where our sister company works, still have a very, very central role of TV in everyone's life. So even in millennials' media span, media diet, if you want, you can see TV still taking most of the time. However, we know that there are opportunities in the change that is coming because we have content, we've always had audiences, but now we have tech and data we can create product with, and that enables a whole new world for us. And with this enthusiasm, all the digital geek and the TV geek in the company jumped on the opportunity. And the way we saw it is that we could create a platform. So we redesigned all our platform that is the direct-to-consumer business that we have, our OTT, in order to have these 4 central pillars, so audience, tech, data, and content, and build our future from there. The opportunity is pretty clear. So when you have the convergence of TV and digital, you can really make the best of both. So you have the addressability, you have the dynamic creatives, you have the speed of digital together with the impact, with the brand safety, with the emotion that TV brings with it. So the convergence happens for us on a device, which is the connected TV. And Italy, unfortunately, from a certain point of view, has the lowest broadband penetration in Italy. However, we looked at the numbers and we decided we wanted to hit the ground running. And so if we look at the whole families in Italy, we have 24.4 million families that have TV sets. There are 8.5 million smart TVs, connectable TVs that have been sold, but only half of them have been actually connected. And we have decided to develop our application, Mediaset Play, in a middleware with HBB TV, which means, for those of you who are not too technical, that we don't have an app for the widget gallery of the connected TV, but in order to access it, you're going to our linear broadcast channel, and from there you can interact with broadband and access extra content, extra services that we'll see in a minute. We also developed in the previous standard, it was an Italian one, MHP, and to be fair, there was a super long, very strenuous process because these TV standards are actually not that standard. So any manufacturer had a different interpretation, so there was a lot of testing of R&D going with it. But it was definitely worth it so that we now can reach more or less 13% of the Italian population. We launched with a great event, so the World Cup that we had the rights for last year, and we saw the numbers growing increasingly. So the services that were offered to the consumer with the app, so you can see it in the background, so you lift with your remote and the app opens, you can restart content and you can see the usage of the service. You can watch clips. And here you see the trend goes with the content. And what we found is users go and watch clips when content is going viral online. So there is the second screen that pushing back audiences and usage on the first screen. And most interestingly, we recognized that the platform was most used to watch long-form content. So all our entertainment shows had higher volume even than the World Cup matches. So entertainment was the content that people were really looking for. And when they watch long-form content, they really stay as long as an hour catching up with it. Data collection, of course, if connected TVs are digital, they can collect data and can send it back to us. Now, one of the good things in working with Mediaset is our compliance department is way stricter than any regulator in Europe. So we were already GDPR compliant before even GDPR was pushed out to Italy. So we have a consent form that we send to the user when the user receives the app the first time, and they have to opt in. If they opt in, we can track their data. So minute by minute, we receive what we call an heartbeat from the TV set that's communicating to us, where the user is, what program they're watching, and which channel they're synced in. With the data we collect, we have created targets. So we know what TV sets are and which TV set is calling us for extra content via broadband. We know what region and province in Italy, which city the user and TV set is located. And then based on the usage, we can define whether it's a family, for example, with young children, if it's a single adult living in that house, and so on. We can also segment them by what kind of content they'd like to watch more. So if it's entertainment, TV, news, and so on, or the so-called light TV viewers, because they're not watching as much live TV as others. And then we can also play with knowing what users have been exposed to. So for example, this is a campaign we run for Shiseido. If we know you've been exposed to a campaign, we can use an extra opportunity to serve you a different ad, to create a storytelling, or we can reinforce the message. The other data feature that we are quite proud of is the family graph. So by looking at which IP several devices would connect at several times, so with repetition in time, we kind of created a graph of the family. So here is an example. This is an actual example for a colleague of ours. So he volunteered and provided us with this TV ID device, and then you can tell we had 2 smartphones, an iPad, and a desktop in their house. And we're syncing these because we are not only the leading broadcaster in Italy, but we're also the leading Italian publisher for digital. We could merge all the data that we had on digital together with the TV, which means for us that we can take targets such as interest in art and culture, in travel, in finance, in, of course, cooking. But being in Italy, we cannot neglect that. And we can use these profiles and these interests to target campaigns on the TV screen. Of course, the same it can be done at the opposite side. So we can take interest and data from TV and bring it back to all the second screen and personal devices. This is a piece of a strategy that, as a media house, we are carrying forward to address users, consumer, across any platform they are. So we own TV, we own digital, as I said, but we also are the first radio publisher in Italy, radio broadcaster in Italy. And so we have digital radios, and we take the same target and we can apply it with the relevant format across the 3 different media. So this is a strategy we put to market. Then we have separate sales houses booking it and managing it, as you can see at the bottom. But we are starting to put this strategy to the advertisers so that on top of their big awareness campaign, they can also reinforce a message to a more niche audience. So what formats have we brought to this amazing world of the connected TVs? So we have 2 families of formats. So the one is a display format, and it's used and it's delivered to users that are consuming live linear TV, broadcast TV. The other one is instead delivered on-demand content. The display ones, oops, sorry. So the first one is called Adover. No, it's not staying for some reason. So the first one, okay, be quick. Okay. So the first one is appearing on a TV spot. So we are running a TV campaign, broadcast campaign. But when that campaign ends up on a connected TV, we display an ad, a button. It can be made of the shape of a package or any shape you want, and it offers interaction. The second one is an L-shaped product that has gone as well. But hey, so here we are watching this sport program, and while you're watching it, the screen resizes, so you still see your content, but we display this L shape with an interaction. When the user interact with their remote, they end up in this microsite. And that's effectively an opportunity for a brand to tell a story, to share content, to engage their consumer in whichever form they like, with video, images, stories, and details to their more interest. Now, a new product also for us meant we had to come out with a way to measure it. So we decided, after several researches, to provide hybrid kind of metrics back to the advertisers running campaigns. So we're providing back views, which means times, the number of times that the formats have appeared on a connected TV, the visits to the microsite, the actions that users have done on their macrosite, and the time they've spent there. Here you see some averages, and for me it was impressive, because coming from a digital background, when we looked at it, we said, okay, you can interact, you can press OK. For me, it was daunting, the image of the click-through rates. And I was like, oh, no, we're not doing this to TV, are we? But effectively, it's a much in-depth metric, because it's actually people entering a microsite. So there are no like fat fingers effect or so on. And it's impressive, because the interaction rates are much higher than the one you would have in digital. So it's really impactful as a format, and people are really keen to go and look for more information. Then we had to figure out, how to build the format. So then we did an eye tracking study to look at the creatives. And here you can see we look at these creative, and besides from focusing on the buttocks of the person in the image, people would look at the brand, the call to action, and the offer that the brand was making, with that specific order. And that allowed us to understand how to better service our advertiser, and giving sort of consultancy and telling them, how do you approach in a creative way this new media, this new way of communicating. And simple, creative is still important. So you can see by changing the shape and some of the information, we went from that interaction rate to 4 times the result. But that wasn't enough. So I have, TV is working because it's providing performance. People do a TV campaign, they sell off the shelf. Very simple, straightforward, and that's why it's been successful for so long. And so we want to make sure that every format we launch is successful and is providing return to the advertisers. So we cannot measure it at the moment, from a census point of view. But what we did, we created a panel of people that can receive this format, so we can run surveys and actually understand what the impact of these campaigns are. And we found out that people really like the format. They don't find it intrusive, and what they feel is they want to know more, and they interact. Then the other family of formats is more traditional in a way, because it's spot. So it's TV spots, but on-demand content. So the one on top you see is the app I showed you before. So we access the linear content. You push up with the arrow on your remote, and then it opens up, and you can restart, watch clips, full TV shows, drama and comedy. And we can put pre-rolls before you access the content, but also we replace mid-rolls with broadband served mid-rolls, which means that all these campaigns can be targeted to. We started last year, in 2017, in July, as a test, and since then we have run 75 advertisers and their campaigns. And the interesting thing is that 10 advertisers were new to TV. They had never done TV before, or they had abandoned the medium a long time ago because they felt it wasn't matching what they needed. Here are some examples of how advertisers have used these formats. So the first one is for automotive. We've run any automotive brand except from one, but we're negotiating with them so far. And that's because, you know, when you reach 13% of the population, that means that that population is a target by itself. So we have found that what was the scarcity is actually great value, because people that actually have connected TVs and they connected to their Wi-Fi are more tech-driven. You know, that's quite intuitive. But also they're like cars, and they're like technical details about cars. So the microsite is a great occasion, you know, for a brand to speak about these and to provide this information. Then they are more eco-friendly. They love everything that's sustainable. They're quite careful to their health and shape. And so there's a lot of products that this connected TV target is great for. The second one, sorry, this is not like a quite friendly chart, but this is another approach we have taken. These people, this target has a different way of consuming media. So they consume a lot on demand, and they are often light TV viewers. So we have found that by running campaigns on these connected TVs, we are adding on average 3.4% reach to a broadcast TV campaign. And we are adding it to a target that's quite hard to get. So the cost of those 3.4% extra reach, it would be so much higher on broadband TV that makes this tool very, very efficient for a lot of our advertisers. So this is an example of pharma. The way we do it is with some researchers might not be particularly enthusiastic about this methodology, but the way we do it is like we evaluate the broadcast campaign with the traditional, with the Auditel data, and then when it comes to connected TV, we actually have census data, so we know what people effectively are watching, so we count how many saw the broadcast campaigns, how many saw just the display formats, and we know how many people have seen both. So we can calculate what's actually incremental. Then we have targeted behavior, so all movies and majors can be interested by it. So here is Rai Cinema. Rai is effectively also a competitor of ours. So they ran their campaign for this movie, and we targeted people that were interested in historical movies. And we saw an interaction rate that was 3 times the industry standard. So 1% interaction rate, 1 every 100 people exposed, interacted, and watched the trailer in the microsite. And then, of course, there's localization, which is super powerful. You know, there are lots of brands that are not approaching TV for this because their geography is pretty specific. This is one of the biggest GDO in Italy, but they are based only in the north of Italy. And they give us a challenge. So they use the leaflet to promote their the offers. But leaflets, it's a delicate thing because it's very effective, but it's very expensive. There's a lot of wastage, and also it's not particularly environmentally friendly. So they told us, look, if you can find a way to translate these into digital one, we would be more than happy to embrace it. So we have developed for them a geolocalized campaign, and we've added this microsite where we actually recreated the leaflet on TV screen. And since then, they've been, you know, adding us every 15 days to the campaigns they're running. And then when you talk about LOCA, you cannot not talk about auto dealers or actually retailers. So we have activated these dealers for Citroën in one region in Italy. So they partner all together and they approached us. So for each different dealer, we had the address of the dealer on the creative, and then they landed on the microsite where we had more information at what, you know, where they could find the closest point for them. Then the final example is an insurance campaign. So this is a linear. Again, they are very, very performance focused, and they have a very peculiar target. So they weren't doing TV. They hadn't been doing TV for a long time. We activated a campaign for them, and they decided to have, you know, the L-shaped creative with an offer and this QR code on the microsite. So we ran a survey and they had this L-shaped campaign with us and a video campaign on digital. Now you see the interruption, the awareness of the awareness of the product increased significantly, so 10% plus 10% based on, compared to people non-exposed, while it's pretty flat on everything else of people that have not been exposed to the format. The intention to buy increases massively, so this is a confirmation that these formats drive for a call to action. And what's interesting is the QR code was a total failure. So we had zero interaction, like zero, not rounding to it, so zero interaction to the QR code. But effectively, lots of people told us that they have gone to the site, they have found out for more information, and they were actually very interested in the product. So this is where we have gone so far. We are running every campaign for us is a different case. We are studying in different ways of how we could use a new way of communicating. But we are also working on some developments. So we are rolling out now a tool that allows us for dynamic creative. So the same as digital. You create one frame, and then according to where the frame is displayed, according to the target, where it displays, the creative changes. And that's, that opens up to scalability to, for example, dealers. We could run a campaign for dealers across all of Italy, and the address would update automatically. And also into the microsite, we are adding a window so the users can keep watching the content behind the microsite while they're interacting with the brand. Another action that we're doing, and we are asked a lot in the market, is first-party data integration. So some brands are asking us to take their data, onboard them on our DMP, and see how that matches to our data, and we provide analysis on what their users in the CRM are watching, how long they're watching it for, and what properties they serve from digital, and so on. And finally, we are on track to deliver in Q4 this year dynamic ad insertion on broadcast. So we are effectively looking at replacing in the linear TV break, taking one spot and replacing it with a spot that's served via broadband, which means that is going to add huge scale to our addressable offering on the video format on linear. So that was everything for me. Thank you so much.